GoreCast is brought to you by American Horrors, the greatest uncut horror channel in the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all horror. As well as the station of decapitation without your head.
America's longest running horror channel, www.withoutyourhead.com.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language for mature audience.
What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday. Apologies for the slight delay. We had some computer issues that had to get fixed before we went live. So hopefully everything's all good to go, and hopefully there's no issues for the rest of the episode. So how's everybody doing this Tuesday night? Ooh.
Wrinkles?
Katie's got her original versus remake snack, a can of Pringles. Pringles sound delicious right now. So hello, Katie and Cinema Reaper Reviews and the Giz. Welcome. And Pam. Welcome. Welcome to another thrilling episode of Original versus Remake. Today featuring Friday the 13th. Almost sounded like it was going to be like a Sesame Street episode. Today's episode is sponsored by the letter F for Friday the 13th. And the number... God, that would have been a hell of a lot better. My creativity has some bounds. I was thinking I was smart by saying the letter F for Friday the 13th, or I could have said the number 13 for Friday the 13th. So, off to a great start today. I'm already fucking up. So, strap in your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a bumpy ride. How you doing, Carter?
I'm doing good, dude. How about you?
I am sweating. That's all. It's just lights behind me. It's 100 degrees outside. A little bit of a fan going, but I got a hat on for some reason. I'm sweaty. So, about more than you probably guys wanted to know, but that's what's going on in my life right now.
Hey.
Summertime is hitting. We're supposed to have like 90 degrees all like week and like only one day of 20% chance of rain. The rest is all bone dry.
Hey.
Yeah.
I hate heat. Sorry.
So do I. That's why I'm like not doing too good with all these lights on me, but I'll suffer through it. Like I said, we have Friday the 13th to go over today, the 1980 classic from Sean S. Cunningham, and the 2009, some would say a classic if you were born past 2009. I don't know who directed it, but it was probably that damn Michael Bay Productions, probably. He did all the horror remakes, it seems like, around that time period. He may not directed it, but it may have been his company.
No, I saw him in the production tag.
Okay, so we had him to blame for all this.
But it was directed by Cunningham, Sean Cunningham.
Was it? I thought that was the original. I don't think he directed both of them. We have a kerfluffle right now. I thought trying to scanning.
Nope, yeah. I was the wrong one. My bad. We're just gonna get all the problems out in the beginning. So Marcus Nipspell.
What was it? Marcus something?
Nispel?
Okay. If we can't say your name, it's not worth it. So we'll move on to news bits before we sink this ship even further. First bit of news bits that we got. Gremlins is coming back, y'all. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
they are doing a animated series for HBO Max,
Oh,
which is
that
called
gives
The
me kind
Secret of the Mogwai. Don't know when that's coming out because I don't see a release date for it. But recently, Sci-Fi Channel did a live hosting special for the 30th anniversary of Gremlins 2: The New Batch, which was, I guess, yesterday. So they did the special. So, but for this special, sci-fi.com interviewed Zach Galligan of Gremlins 1 and 2, who played Billy Peltzer, and asked him about a couple of things. So, a little bit of a synopsis on the Secrets of the Mogwai. It says it's currently in the works for HBO Max. It's set in the 1920s. And it is the telling story of how the 10-year-old Sam Wing met the young Mogwai called Gizmo, which kind of already gives me continuity issues because he wasn't called Gizmo until Billy's dad purchased him and named him Gizmo. So hopefully they don't call him Gizmo because he wouldn't have been named that at that time.
I actually don't give a shit what they call him. I'm
Okay.
kind of with Giz. He's pretty stoked about the cartoon. So am I. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Yeah. I'm a huge Gremlin, like the original. I mean, I like both of them, but like the original Gremlins is probably one of my top 5 like favorite movies of all time. I love. Cock block.
No, like I
You
don't know,
talking
man.
shit about the Gremlins? A boom, cock blocked.
No, dude. Like the first one was good. Second one I liked, but it was definitely not. I don't know. It was a little too.
It's very satirical. Like it's a big poke in, like, they make fun of themselves very well in the second one, and at like other medias as well of that. I don't know. I like it for what it is, but the original is just so much better.
Yeah,
That might be an
I'm totally
interesting episode for.
about it.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're going the animated route because it'd be the first time that they've really done that for Gremlins.
Right.
They just had the 2 movies really. But in the interview with Mr. Zach, they asked him a couple of questions. He has no part in the animated series or anything like that. Affiliation. That's what I was gonna say, but thank you for the help there. It seems like what they are going to do is kind of show us the mythology surrounding the Gremlins and Gizmo. It says you have to figure that they are using the animated series as a stepping stone to a larger endgame, which is a live-action Gremlins movie. That would be his assumption, is what he's saying. And it's not really that much of a stretch to think that that's what they're doing with the animated series. There was a lot of talks of them possibly doing either a sequel or a remake of some sort before the animated series was announced. So it could be a way to maybe test the waters.
All right, so just to sidetrack for a second. Pretty much the chat is filled with everybody talking about the food they're eating while we're being watched. And Giz is saying, I wonder if they'll let the Gremlins be dark as fuck, the way they should be.
With the animated series, I hadn't really heard what they were going direction-wise, but I know with the movie, when that was being tossed around, they were mentioning that it was going to be more of a darker feel to it if they were going to do a live-action movie. But with the animated series, I really haven't gotten much besides it's going to be from the 1920s and kind of how the old Asian dude comes into contact with Gizmo. That's all the knowledge that we really have. At least that's what they've given us so far. But yeah, like, and then like they kind of asked, or further on in the interview, Zach said that like his idea of like a next movie would just kind of him and Billy, like Billy and Gizmo, being reunited and what fun adventures they can get themselves into if they go sequel route. They could just do what we're doing and do a remake, and that would be interesting too. But
yeah, I don't know about. I'm like, I don't want to knock it or anything, but it just seems like it's been so long. I really don't know if I want to do like see any like sequels.
And that's why I have a feeling that they might go with, like, that makes sense why they're going with the route they're going with the animated series, with it being a prequel type thing. Couldn't maybe nicely set up for, I don't know if it would set up for a remake, because then it would be a different, the remake would be in a different universe than the originals. And then if the animated series is more to go as a prequel to the originals, I don't know. I'd be down for them to do something with a live action movie. I don't know how I would feel if, like, I'm not saying, and obviously you've watched us the last, how many episodes you've done of this. Like, I'm not completely against remakes if it's necessary, and I don't think it would be necessary for Gremlins. The only thing that it would be necessary is just, like you said, it's been so long. Right. Where do we go with it? And normally that's your next thing is, oh, well, we got to reboot it because it's been so long since the last movie. So we good to move on to next bit, or?
I'm kind of curious. Cinnamon Reaper, let's see, said, who's seen Gremlins Recall? I haven't heard anything about that or anything like that.
Is that like a fan-made movie or something? Because I know there's probably a few.
See, he says that's the closest thing to a Gremlins sequel we have. I know it's not canon though. And Giz asked if it was
fan film. Yeah. That's kind of what I figured. So I haven't. I normally don't go out of my way to watch a lot of the fan films for anything in general, not just Gremlins, obviously. But like, I mean, it's it's an interesting thing to think about with fan films, but they just don't. I don't know. They don't catch my attention. Because I know they've done, like, I know there's a Friday the 13th one, I think.
Dude, I've actually tripped on some that I've really dug. I tripped over like a Predator Dark Ages that was sick as fuck.
Ooh, I think I've heard of that one.
That one was fucking dope.
I do. Yeah, we'll move on to the next story, and that might be something we might look into of the future episode of a group chat. Maybe we'll do some fan films. The next news bit is one that kind of goes back to something we talked about in the past, and that is Relic. We talked about it, like I said in the past. I don't know if there was a release date, or if there was, it was a couple months down the line. We do have a release date for the film. It is July 10th, so about a couple of weeks, week and a half, because today's the 30th. But starting July 3rd, the Relic will be hitting certain drive-in theaters for a special early showing a week leading its theatrical release on July 10th. So if you're a big drive-in movie theater fan and you want to get to go see a movie, pretty sure the Relic would most likely, because there's not probably a ton of drive-in theaters. I know it's kind of picked up with the pandemic and everything, but I don't know. It doesn't really state like specific theaters that are going to be having it, but check your local listings, check your local drive-in theaters, and if you want to check out the Relic before it hits its theatrical date of July 10th, you'll have a little bit of a week to do that. Very anticipated movie. I remember it's coming from IFC. It's one of they state it's one of the most anticipated pandemic era movies so far, which, I mean, there isn't a whole lot of movies to go through. So, But yeah, if you want to see the movie a week before it comes out, check your local drive-in theater listings. Okay. Sorry about that. Real quick, if you want to check out the Relic, check your local listings and your TV guide. No, not your TV guide. That won't do anything for you there. Just check and see if it's playing near you. That's all I'm trying to say. I don't know really what I'm trying to say anymore. So, but it should be an interesting movie. Battles with dementia.
I just love the fact that you just pulled the TV guide out of your ass. I can't remember the last time I thought about the TV guide.
Dude, I remember the last time I remember actually having one was when they had wrestling themed ones for one of the WrestleManias. That's all I remember. Last bit of news today is we have Mur, a splashy horror comedy about man-eating mermaids. Yes, please. Yes, please. Also, this film is supposed to be directed by Laura Prepon, who plays Donna Pinciotti in That 70s Show. And it's also supposed to have a couple of Orange is the New Black alum writing it. So I believe it's Julie Lake and Liz Storm. Mur is described as a splashy horror comedy about martini-swigging, man-eating mermaids on Martha's Vineyard.
I don't even know where to go with that, but all right.
It says the series explores a young woman grappling with newfound powers and female metamorphosis through the point of view of a yeah, I don't know what word that is. Marginalized. Yeah, there you go. Marginalized. I had to like do it as syllables. Marginalized.
We're keeping this really educational.
Yeah. Says this satirical themes through the eyes of a girl who must live with dual demands of her bleeding heart and a sudden urge to eat people.
Oh, the dilemmas.
Yes. Who do I eat? Who do I not eat? So
all while camping out at a vineyard.
Yes. So look for that to come sometime in the future. Man-eating mermaids. I don't think we've had any man-eating mermaids before that I know of.
As far as films?
Yeah.
We've had a few. Not a whole bunch, but I've seen a couple.
Well, at least it's a genre that hasn't been plucked.
Right. It's definitely not like flooded or anything.
Yeah. So, but you know what is flooded? Slasher movies. So let's get into slasher movies. Original versus remake, fucking Friday the 13th. 1980 versus 2009. Coming at you. I have to open my notepads. The original was released in 1980, as I just said. We open up, and it is 1957. And there's some counselors singing some songs in a cabin, and then there's a couple that go, "Hey, let's go do it. Let's go do it somewhere." So they go and sneak off from the pack, and they go upstairs to go do it. And next thing we know, we kind of see the camera. You know, a lot of first-person type camera movement here because we don't really see who the killer is until towards the end of the movie. So a lot of the camera angles from the killer is point of view focused. So the two are like, "Oh, we weren't doing anything. We were just fooling around." No, this person's not having any. Whoever it is, we don't know. Or, well, we may know after we've seen it a bajillion times. But if this is your first viewing, you don't know who this is. She kills the motherfuckers. Dead. Stabs one dude in the stomach. The other girl, I don't think it really shows. She goes to kind of like attack her, and then she like freeze frames, like, ah. And then we don't know how she dies. So, fast forward. Very animate right now. 21 years later, yeah, we have Annie, who is hitchhiking because she is supposed to be getting to Crystal Lake because they're reopening Crystal Lake because 20 years before, there's people getting killed, so they closed it down. So she's trying to get to Crystal Lake. She kind of stops at this truck stop, and this trucker's like, "You don't need to be going there. People get killed there. Don't go there." And then we see Ralph, who's like, "You're doomed." We don't get that in newer movies these days. We don't get the "you're doomed" guy.
I know, right?
Well, how are we supposed to?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you've caught Cabin Fever, they actually like even play that up, like, "Oh, well, he plays that guy to warn people off," and it was brilliant, dude.
Yeah. So, but they're always crazy, or at least most of the times. So the truck driver goes to take Annie towards Crystal Lake, doesn't drop her off completely at Crystal Lake. She hops out of the car. She needs to kind of hitchhike or walk the rest of the way. And then somebody else picks her up, and we don't know who it is. Point of view again. And she picks up Annie, goes to drive.
I really liked the whole mystery. You didn't really get to know what was going on until it was revealed. And I kind of dug that.
Yeah, when we get into like kind of talking about the movie, I'll kind of get my like thoughts about. I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm pretty sure we've all seen Friday the 13th, so we kind of all pretty much know who the killer is. But I'll get into when we towards the end what I kind of my thoughts about something that could have made it better. I guess maybe I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, so the person drives past Crystal Lake, and Annie's like, "Hey, that was Crystal Lake back there," and she wouldn't stop. Annie kind of jumps out of the car. Just a nice little barrel roll. And person chases her down and slits her throat very nicely. Kind of, I wouldn't say the first kill because we had the couple of kids killed towards the beginning, but kind of maybe the first official kill. I don't know.
Right. Of the new timestamp.
Yeah, of the current timeline. We get to the camp. We have Ned, Jack, Bill, Marcy, Brenda, Alice, and Steve Christie with his awesome 80s mustache. And we have Kevin Bacon in his one of his first feature films. Just a ragtag bunch of people there, and they're kind of getting the camp ready for the big reopening, which is a big theme in all of the Friday the 13th movies. There's a lot of reopening the camps, but there's no actually ever camping happening at the camps. Like, well, we got to reopen the camp, and it's like, are we gonna? Yeah, there's a lot of fucking going on, and
that's what always surprises me. Every time we try to reopen, everybody dies, and yet next year we can find more people to show up.
Yeah, it's like later on, after maybe like the first couple episodes, we're like, all right, we're getting away from opening a summer camp. We're just gonna have people with cabins that's their summer house or whatever, because like no one's gonna want to go to a summer camp at Camp Blood. So we go on. Mr. Christie, he leaves to go get some supplies. He leaves the rest of the crew to kind of finish up the work. Once that happens, we start seeing people drop like flies. That's literally people start getting knocked off. Those that are in my notes. So we're to that point. By an unseen killer. Ned sees somebody going into a cabin, and then he somehow is killed off screen. We don't really ever see how he's killed, but we see his dead body.
And I was hoping to see that fucker die. He's getting on my nerves.
Yeah. When you watch a horror movie, like the people, like we get it in the remake when the people that piss you off die.
Right.
But this one, the person that pisses you off, you don't see it. You just see his decapitated, or I don't know if he was decapitated, but the bloodied corpse like above on the bunk bed, dripping blood down on Kevin Bacon after he fucked. So we'll get into that. Kevin Bacon and his lady got done fucking. So the lady leaves. And she's like, I got to go to the bathroom. So she goes to the bathroom. Kevin Bacon takes a fucking arrow to the throat. One of the most infamous horror movie kills of all time. Splattering blood all over out of his neck. And then his lady Marcy's killed in the bathroom with an axe to the head. Another iconic franchise scene. Brenda is stupid, and she just kind of wanders. I think it starts to rain. We get a little bit of a storm that comes over the the little town there, and Brenda decides to wander out into the archery range because I think the
heard
lights
somebody
started
crying for help.
Oh, that's
No,
what.
she started
Okay.
hearing somebody cry for help, which was
Okay.
weird because it sounded like a kid, and we've not taken any kids yet to the camp. So
Hmm.
I'm like, well, little Sarah's just gonna be lost in the fucking storm. Look for her in the morning. But no, she decides to go stomping after her.
Or was it Jason? No, it wasn't. She lights start coming out on the archery range, and then she's another one. I don't think they show how she dies. They just kind of the lights start going on in the archery range. They're like, oh, next scene. We have to keep our budget below, so we can't have all these gruesome kills with everybody. So she was not given a proper death. So then we are left. Oh wait, actually, Mr. Christie is making his way back to the camp. His car breaks down, so he gets a ride from a local police officer, and then the police officer has to respond to some kind of call of, I believe, death. Most likely, I think that's what it was. So the police officer had to drop Mr. Christie off because he was pretty close to the camp. Mr. Christie walks up to the sign and then kind of recognizes somebody. They have like a little flashlight, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing there?" And they get stabbed in the stomach, and has one of the best stomach facial reactions. Getting stabbed in the stomach facial reactions. So then we are left with Bill and Alice. They discover Brenda's dead body in the bathroom, and then the power goes out. So then Bill's like, I'm going to be macho man and go see why the power's out. Well, that was not. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, I'm going to check on the power. Yeah. So he, sorry. He's like, I got to smoke me a Slim Jim because I need to get the power. The mega powers are exploding right now. Okay, I went off into a tangent that I didn't think I was going to go on. So Bill goes to check on why the power's out, and then it seems to be taking too long. And Alice is like, "Where is that Bill? I'm like, I should go see what he's doing." Oh, Bill is hung up to the door by a whole bunch of arrows. He's dead because he did a terrible Macho Man impression, and so Mrs. Voorhees killed him. She's like, if you want to live, do a Macho Man impression. He's like, oh, and he's dead. He's dead. So Alice starts freaking out, and then this is where kind of the infamous 80s, all right, here are all the bodies. Turn around the corner, here's one body. Turn around the corner, here's another body. Everybody's dead. So Alice is trying to get out of the camp, and then she runs into Mrs. Voorhees. First time we finally see, she doesn't say she's the killer right away, or finally the first time we were physically seeing Mrs. Voorhees. She's trying to calm Alice down.
She acts so suspect, though, dude. I mean, like, she's tripping over bodies, like, oh my gosh, ooh, whoops.
Yeah, she walks in, she's like, oh no, that dead body. No, we're not believing it, Grandma. We know you.
No.
We sense it. We have the force. We can sense when people killed.
I don't even know if you need the force. Somebody's like, all of a sudden, like, oh, dead bodies. Man, I guess they should have done better than the last time. What?
Yeah.
Where's she going with this conversation? It's just time to start making a run for it, dude.
Yeah. The Mrs. Voorhees kind of pretty much starts to, spill the beans. And talks about her son, Jason Voorhees, drowning in the lake back in 1957. And that the counselors weren't doing their job. Why weren't you watching him? And that kind of stuff. And she just assumes all counselors were to blame for her son's death 21 years ago. So that's what most people do.
After.
Yeah. So and the funny part is, Mrs. Voorhees wiped out about, 6, 7 people so far.
Right.
But then it becomes like a freaking Three Stooges skit. And we're just like tripping over shit, and we're like slapping. And I was waiting for a poke in the eyes. I was waiting for it. And then like Alice would have blocked it by putting her hand right there. I'm like, oh no, I solved you, Mrs. Voorhees. So Not
I
a
was
very
kind of
good showing.
No, after all the bodies, I really was kind of surprised how their throwdown went.
Yeah, it was very just a lot of pushing and slapping, and Alice is able to kind of get the upper hand and kind of knocks Mrs. Voorhees out. She kind of makes a run for it towards the shore. Mrs. Voorhees catches up with her. They have a little bit of another kerfuffle. And then Alice is able to get the upper hand and chop Mrs. Voorhees' fucking head off. So, see you, Mrs. Voorhees' head for now. We get into Alice decides to, hey, instead of getting out of here, you know, I'm going to just hop in this canoe and float out to the middle of the lake.
Like the lady, Voorhees showed up in a car. I'm like, okay, 2 feet that way or 10 feet to a canoe and just go park in the middle of the fucking lake.
Well, knowing 80s horror, she probably would have went to the car and it probably wouldn't have started because maybe she was smarter than we all thought. She's like, I'm pretty sure that car's not going to start if I go in there. Probably should go out into the canoe and to the lake where I have no way to get away from anything. So morning comes. Alice is sitting on the lake, you know, touching the water. You can see the police kind of off in the distance, kind of trying to call out to her, and she's like, I'm saved. Nope. Zombie Jason comes from the water, pulls her underneath the water. Probably one of the most effective jump scares in early 80s horror cinema.
Oh, yeah.
That gets ruined by the next fucking scene.
I don't know, dude. Like, it's been so long since I've seen it. I'd forgot that there was like a 2-second bit after. Like, all I remembered was that final him coming up out of the water.
To me, that I thought that would have been the perfect ending. Them showing the lake after she'd been pulled out, and then we just cut to black. But then they go to that last couple scenes, and she's like, well, what happened to the boy? And they're like, what boy? And she's like, Jason. She's like, ma'am, there was no boy. And she's like, but he must be still out there then.
Like you said, dude, the jump scare is like iconic as hell. I'd forgotten about the ass end of it, but I still kind of liked the ass end of it. I mean, you know, it's that whole like, oh, she's definitely lost her shit, or has she, after going through all of that?
Yeah, and that's one of those things where it's like, it's as much as you don't know for sure, because like Sean S. Cunningham had absolutely nothing riding on this movie. He didn't think it was going to make any money or anything, but it still leaves open for a sequel if it did do well.
Right.
Because you have that potential.
And I thought that was kind of a good way to leave it open, but still kind of give closure, I guess.
Yeah. The one little bit that I was saying before is when you were kind of saying like it's kind of cool that we didn't see who the killer was till towards the end. I wonder just how much of a difference it would have been if Mrs. Voorhees was maybe one of the, you know, group of the counselors. Like she was the cook or something. So she was seen throughout the movie, but nobody, I don't know, because like it almost seems like to me, yeah, because like to me, with us not seeing her till the very end, kind of clicks it like she's got to be the killer because it's the first time we've seen her.
Right.
If she was in the movie more, like throughout the movie, then it's kind of like we don't know who it is because it's like we see her more often throughout the movie.
And I mean, throughout the movie, when people do get killed, we do see like a T-shirt or a hand with a knife, so we know it's somebody. We just can't figure out.
Yeah, and I mean, half the time you don't know if you might think it's a male because that's just what you think. Like, oh,
right. Well,
men
are
crazy.
I was thinking, for a second, I kind of was looking at Steve Christie, you know, because like his timing when things happen and when he wasn't there. Like I said, it'd been a long time since I've seen this one, so I was like kind of watching it for the first time again, and I'm like, oh, it's him, and oh nope, can't be him. So it was fun to kind of be able to rewatch the first one and like it was brand new, you know?
Yeah. I remember when I kind of started watching the Friday the 13th series, I went with this one like third or fourth. I've watched other ones before this one. So when I first watched it and then found out it was Mrs. Voorhees, I was like, "Da fuck!" Like that's not Jason. This is this movie trying to lie to me. This is not Friday the 13th. I took it out. I threw it across. That was on VHS. That's how long ago it was. I hit the eject button and I threw it. Then I had to pick it up because I rented it from the video store and I had to rewind it before I took it back.
Did you remember to rewind?
I did remember to rewind. I cannot be paying the 50-cent rewind fees.
Dude, that ain't no shit.
That's how those people make money. So, but that's about it for the original. We'll cut to the trailer for the original movie, and then we will come back and we will talk about we think Michael Bay remake. He had something to do with it. We don't know what, but I think it was his movie production. So let's get to that trailer, Friday the 13th OG trailer. And we're back. And that was the trailer for the Friday the 13th, the original. If you're smart, you might just watch the trailer and you don't even have to sit there and watch an hour and a half or however long the movie was, because you saw pretty much all the good parts in the trailer.
Yeah,
damn you, trailer, giving away everything. Stupid fucking trailers. Talking about stupid fucking, let's move on to the remake. In 2009, a remake was made. They kind of, for some reason, tried to combine 3 Friday the 13th movies into one. Because the beginning of the movie, we had like a minute and a half to 2 minutes of Mrs. Voorhees chasing a lady and then getting her head chopped off. We actually see Jason right after as he comes, looks at his mother's dead body. And then 30 years later, a group of friends arrive at the Camp Crystal Lake in search of some marijuana. And that does not go well for them. I'm going to tell you that right now. We get a lot of dead people pretty damn quick. Before the credits even start, Jason shows up with his burlap sack head, and he fucks everybody up. He uses bear traps, and he's freaking tying chicks in sleeping bags over fire. This guy's a smart motherfucker this time. So he wipes out like 5 or 6 people within like the first 5 minutes of the opening credits, before the opening credits even start.
I mean, it definitely caught my attention.
You were like, okay. And then it's like right at like, boom, Friday the 13th. You're like, that was before the fucking credits?
Yeah, right?
Jesus Christ. Like, he wiped out a movie's length of people in like 5 minutes.
I'm like, all right, I'm sold. How the rest of this shit gonna go?
Yeah. So after we cut to the credits and he wiped out a good chunk of people, it's 6 weeks after that, with another group of friends, and they're on their way to a cabin house out near Camp Crystal Lake, owned by Trent, the douchebag of the movie. Could not wait to see him die, because he was such a jack off this whole movie. And it's like they waited to keep him alive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that was kind of good directing, because they make you suffer through that motherfucker for a while.
Yeah, he's just like, one of those guys that probably wakes up and looks at himself in the mirror and is like, "What's up, dude? You're looking good." Kind of showing off the bicep to himself. I fucking hate those guys. So glad that he died. It's like, who's that good dude looking at me? Oh, that's me. Son of a bitch. I don't get to do that. So we move on, and we have Trent, Jenna, Chelsea, Bree, Chewie, not Chewbacca, just Chewie, and Nolan. They're heading out to the lake house to do some drugs and some sex, because it's a horror movie. I kind of liked how they shifted the timeline a little bit, as when Mrs. Voorhees is killed in the opening thing, that's 1980. So now, 30 years later, we're closer to like 2009 for when the movie actually came out, as opposed to the original, how it was 57 to 1980. This one goes to 1980 to 2009. So I kind of like how they did that little switch with the timeline instead of keeping it in the same era, similar to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they kind of kept it in the 70s, even though it was made in 2006. This time they kind of kept with the current timeline. They had GPSs and phones, cellular phones. So we didn't have that back in 1980. So we meet Clay. Clay's a young man who's searching for his missing sister. Their mother had just recently passed away, and his sister didn't show up to her funeral, which kind of got into his suspicions because she was the one that pretty much took care of their mother after he bounced like a douchebag, I think, when he was like 16, I think he said.
I will say, dude, this, because it's played by Jared Padalecki from Supernatural. That was the whole reason I actually even watched it, just because I'd not seen him in anything but Supernatural and a few bit parts here and there. So I was kind of curious to see what he was doing on his own, because I can't remember the other guy's name, Dean. He did that whole, what was that? My Bloody Valentine.
It's another one we can do in the future. We first meet Clay when they're at the little gas station. They're picking up some gas, because that's what you get at a gas station. They're waiting in line while Clay's kind of talking to the employee there, like, hey, can we, put some of these flyers in your window? And the dude's like, man, I would, but the owner's a douchebag. Must be Clay's dad, or not Clay, but Trent's dad, because the douchebag doesn't fall far from the douchebag tree. So while he's kind of talking to the worker, Trent starts, being dick. He's like, are you gonna buy anything, or your awesome flyers here? Like, I want to buy some gas, dude. So let's move on. If I was like Clay, I would have punched that dude in the face. He was all bark, no bite. You can tell he's one of those guys. He'll sit there and be like, man, what are you gonna do? What do you do about it? And when you step to him, he's like, I can't get to a fight. I just had the shirt washed. I can't get to a fight. I won't. I'm nowhere near my dry cleaner. We can't do this right now, dude. We'll call me in a couple weeks. We'll set up a date to fight. He's one of those guys. So Trent and gang, they buy all their gas and their food and stuff. They head up to their cabin. Clay ends up going up, not knowing whose house it was, kind of knocks on the door. And I know Johnny's putting things up because I can just...
Oh, no, it's all fun. He's like, fuck Trent.
Okay. Whenever I see him laughing and I didn't say anything funny, I know Johnny's doing something.
No, it's all support.
I see it like an hour later when I watch the episode back. So Clay goes up to the house. He's like, still trying to pass out these flyers, and Trent's there, and he's like, dude, what are you doing here? Get out of here, pretty much. And he also, Clay ends up going to some other lady's house, some older lady. She was the lady from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. The lady who ran the shop back there, the part of the family from Texas. I didn't realize that until I watched it. I was like, oh, she was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake as another grumpy old lady. So she played that part very well. So we have I think it's Jenna who's Trent's girlfriend. She kind of starts feeling sorry for Clay, and is like, let me help you try to look for your sister. They leave. While that happens, Chelsea and Noah decide to go wakeboarding. Not a good idea. Topless wakeboarding too. Some more boobs. Not a great idea for them, because Nolan takes a freaking arrow to the head because Jason has become an archer.
I gotta say, I was kind of disappointed in that kill.
It was kind of yeah. It was neat, but it was just kind of
like he just lacked work. It was just like, oh well, I guess I can tag him here. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's like I know what I'm doing. I can get these guys pretty much whenever.
I'll say I'm still spinning while I'm watching it.
Maybe. We're back. The dinosaur story. We are sorry for any technical issues. YouTube. Johnny tried to put a smiley face, get some happiness in the chat, and that's what he gets. The chat in his computer says, "No, Johnny, no smiley face. We will stop your stream, and you will learn your lesson." So, lesson learned. No more smiley faces from Johnny.
Right.
Moving on. Chelsea gets hit in the head with a boat. Right in the head with a boat. Because she's stupid and just sat there and be like, I'm not going to move. There's a boat coming at me. Couldn't just, swam to the side. So,
Right.
But it doesn't kill her, surprisingly. I don't know how that didn't happen. Just, I mean, when a boat just comes and hits me in the fucking head, I'm just kind of like, oh, little bit loopy, but I think I'm okay. And then she kind of like looks over to the, down yonder, and she sees Jason just chilling there, and he's like, I'm done with my bow and arrow, and he pulls out his machete, and she goes to hide under the dock, but it's like he knows you're there. He saw you. Like, what do you think? So she gets a fucking machete to the head, right through the freaking dock. That was kind of a cool scene. Like the head machete goes and kind of pulls her up, and then like once it gets to the dock, it kind of like separates her from the machete, just drops back into the water. That was nice.
And I will say that did kind of make up for the simplicity of the arrow shot.
Yes. So while after that happens, Clay and Jenna are still kind of, spreading flyers around. They stumble upon the old Crystal Lake cabin grounds and find out that Jason has some crazy underground tunnel system thing going on. And
that was kind of weird, dude. It kind of reminded me of that whole like the hills have eyes, where you just saw like the slight collection of all his
skills. He was bringing the
backpacks, wallets, whatever was just kind of piled up in his area. And that kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, it does. It makes sense why he's able to show up from one place to another, because he uses the underground. Right. Jason,
if he's got his shortcuts, he's going to pop up in front of you before you even fucking know it. I kind of thought it was cool because I don't remember. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen a lot of the movies, but I just kind of liked that aspect of it, seeing all this crap piled up, the fucking shortcuts that he could be taking, stuff like that.
Yeah. We have where they go? Clay and Jenna finally kind of, after they're able to be quiet for enough time to kind of have Jason go off and do his thing, they kind of run back towards Trent's place. On the way back there, Jason ends up following him. Eventually, he kills Chewie in the tool shed because he was in the tool shed.
I liked Chewie. I felt bad for Chewie.
That was my attempt of a Chewbacca thing, but it did not come off very well. Yeah. We take that as a complete miss, a swing and a miss. Which one was Chewie again? Chewie was
Asian dude.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He was the one he broke. He was like, dude, I can totally fix this.
Oh, yeah, because he was trying to hook up with that one chick, and she they set the little shot glass on fire, and he went to take a sip, and he fell over and broke a table or something. Right. And Trent was being a douchebag again. He's like, that's a family heirloom. Right, a chair. If your family is passing along chairs through their lineage, then your family's stupid. Chair family.
You got a chair once, bro.
Anybody that passes chairs. I'm talking about Trent's family. They're stupid. Anybody else, if you have a chair family heirloom, then you are excluded from that statement.
Bad. Some
yeah. The police are called, and a police officer shows up, kind of knocks on the front door, and he's kind of like, hey, what's going on here? Jason fucking kills the cop.
I will still say you rock the Macho Man.
Thank you. We're back again. Sorry.
So yeah, right before we froze, I was like, "Oh man, I think the cop would have lasted longer." And so we were right there at the cop killed, and then we moved on.
He was used as a good distraction to let the other people get away briefly, because him being killed, then Trent, Clay, and Jenna were able to kind of make a little bit of a getaway while Jason's in the process.
This movie moves a lot quicker than the original.
Yeah, so, like, and it's no surprise either.
Right, but they use that cop to kind of help scatter everybody, whereas that's something they have to work
with. Trent doesn't make it very far because finally Trent is fucking killed by Jason Voorhees.
Yes.
He's like, I'm done with your douchebaggy shit and your stupid heirloom chair, killing your ass right now. And he kills him.
That's kind of pause and separation for a second, like, okay, now finish the movie.
Yeah, it's probably like, I'm sure if you went and saw that movie in theaters, that's when everyone's like, yes, he killed him. Yeah. He's dead. Why did it take the whole movie pretty much? Jason chases Jenna and Clay back to his old campgrounds where they were before. They try to use some of his little underground tunnel things, and they find Clay's sister just kind of chilling in the her name, Whitney. There it is. I couldn't find the name for a second. They find Whitney. She's kind of tied up. They free her. They try to make it out. Jason comes back, stops him, kills Jenna, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
You really got the feeling that she was going to kind of be one of the final three now, because there's Clay and the two girls. But
I was even kind of surprised that she was being held captive.
Whitney?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why she was being held captive is because supposedly she looked like Mrs. Voorhees. They showed Mrs. Voorhees at the beginning, and she doesn't look anything like Whitney. So, smart as
that was just kind of an interesting twist, though, because like I said, when you first see the tunnels, it's all of his collective stuff, his little nooks and crannies, and then the chick over here chained to a bed. Like, that was just not the scene I was expecting.
Yeah. Jason and Clay kind of have a little bit of like another, my favorite word for this episode, a skerfuffle. And Whitney's able to kind of distract Jason by like kind of doing something that they did similar in the part 2, where I don't remember. She put on like Jason's mom's sweater to try to like distract Jason so that they could like kill him and get his attention, which worked here. Whitney was able to get Jason's attention enough to where he was distracted, and Clay came in and they murdered Jason's ass. Not just his ass, his whole body too. He's all dead. They feel the need for some reason to take his body into the lake at the end.
Okay.
Instead of just leaving it there.
So fucking right. I'm like, okay, eventually the cops have to get here. It was a big motherfucker in a hockey mask. Where is he? We dumped him in the lake. Why? Shit, why did we do that? Like, that made like no sense.
He was like, he wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
Where he was.
Right. I kind of felt like, well, he's over there by the tree shredder. That's what we fucking
decided to resurrect. He wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
So they freed the monster. They dumped him in the lake, and then we have a little old callback to the original where Jason jumps out of the lake and grabs Whitney and fade to black. Not the Metallica song. We just fade to black. And that's Friday the 13th, 2009. Not terrible.
And I think we talked about this the first time I watched it. I hated that motherfucker. Like, it just really put me off. But the second time I watched it, I get, because I was trying to do that whole like honest comparison, and I don't remember hating it as much as I did the first time. Like, I kind of saw it for what it is here and there. There were like cool kills. It was not as bad as I remember.
Definitely one of those ones where, you do kind of it's one of those things where it's like, well, this isn't like the original. I hate it.
Right.
And you're
And I
like,
think that's what it was.
Like, I see why they did this. I see why they did that. You watch it the third time. Trent got killed. I was happy about that.
Because, like you said, they kind of wrapped up like three movies in this one real quick. And I don't know if maybe that was kind of my, oh, how dare you? Fuck you, blah, blah.
Because we brushed through the.
You paced it well. It was like there were really no dead spots. And if it was like a 2-second kind of like, oh, look at that. That's kind of important. And then move on.
Yeah. Like we brushed through the first original with like, Mrs. Voorhees in the first like 3 minutes. And then we get into the second part where he's got the sack over his head, kind of like part 2 Jason. And then he gets the hockey mask and kind of becomes part 3 Jason. They even do the whole little like, I think it's when the second or the first group of teens that get looking for the marijuana, they kind of almost tell the story like it's a ghost story, kind of like what they do previous of the original Friday 13th.
And I dug that, like we got just as many kills in there with a little bit of a detour.
I'll just say I hate the family heirloom. That's why I hated the movie. Just come out and say it. I didn't want
although that has lasted the majority of the conversation.
If people are talking, and they're there. And they must not be listening to us. We're back, guys. Hi. We were gone for a minute there because we froze. So we're gonna do our best to kind of finish the episode here so we can not freeze again on you guys, because to do it 3 or 4 times in one episode is not nice to you guys. It's not our fault. Right. What's that? Oh, so okay. So I was kind of looking. I think we might have.
Okay, I think we're good on my. So I just want to point out you're about to defend Jason takes Manhattan, and our shit froze, bro. Like that in itself should be like there's no defense for this shit.
I was just licking my lips. I didn't know we were back. I'm sorry. Jason Takes Manhattan. It's not as bad as everybody says it is. He's on a boat. This is the thing. The movie is just poorly titled. If it was Jason Takes a Boat, titled. It would have been perfect. No,
it's properly titled. His ass winds up in fucking Manhattan.
At the very end. Well, technically, he was in Manhattan. He was in Summerfingers. Fine. I apologize. Tell me when I'm up, and I will apologize. Okay. My apologies. I will never, ever defend Jason Takes Manhattan. Fuck Jason Takes Manhattan, you stupid piece of shit. Go to the trailer, please.
Did you know a young boy drowned here? He was my son. And today is his birthday.
You won't believe my parents' cabin.
Here we are. Very nice, huh?
Just get your ass to the door.
Ready?
Let's do it!
I'm not from around here, but I'm looking for my sister. She's gone missing. Have you seen her?
She ain't missing. She's dead. People go missing around here, they're gone for good.
There's something out there. We gotta get out of here. Come on, you guys. Oh my god.
This place is called Camp Crystal Lake.
Open up! Help! We got giants killing everybody!
His name was Jason, and today is his birthday.
We're back. I don't know how long, but we're back. That was the trailer for the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th. We kind of liked it. We kind of didn't like it. Mainly just indifferent after multiple viewings.
Right.
We apologize for all the issues leading up to the trailer. It just, I was trying to defend Jason Takes Manhattan, and the YouTube computer gods just weren't having it. So I will do a sacrifice after the episode to appease them for my wrongdoings. I apologize.
Good.
So before we freeze again like the Ice Age, we want to close out the episode. Carter, any closing thoughts?
Jason Takes Manhattan sucks, and I hope to see you guys Thursday.
Only closing thoughts he had was nothing to do with the episode that we just did.
Oh, those films are cool. Check him out.
You guys sat here for a whole hour listening to us talk. His closing thoughts were nothing else, and we had nothing to talk about. But it's good.
Sort of related. Kind of.
Don't watch Jason Takes Manhattan. You will bleed from your anus, probably.
I don't remember that happening, but all right.
You didn't watch it all the way through. That's probably why. It's kind of like The Ring after the movie ends, but instead of 7 days, your anus bleeds instead of. Well, you might die. I don't know where I'm going. I better stop this before we get taken down from YouTube instead of being frozen. It was a good movie. The first one, the second one, or the remake was a movie. That's all.
Cinema Reaper was like, Jesus, the internet. Buzz said he was sorry for defending Jason Takes Manhattan.
I'm very sorry. We're back.
There we go.
Let's get out of here before the end of the world happens. Thursday, we're group chatting about Joel Schumacher. We're going to be talking about Flatliners, Gossip, and The Lost Boys as a Joel Schumacher retrospective. So, because he died last week. So we're going to pay respects. We're going to be nice for once. Or at least I'm going to be nice. The other guys are pretty nice. Me, I just hate heirloom chairs. That's my takeaway from this episode.
And we've also said that we're going to do Poltergeist next Tuesday.
Yes. We're going to take one of the suggestions that you lovely people gave us a couple episodes ago. We got Poltergeist this next week. We're going to follow that up with The Blob, and then we're going to finish off suggestion with Fright Night. Those will be kind of what we're doing the next couple of weeks. There's no trailer to cut to this week for the GoreCast American Horror episodes. So that might be a good thing because we don't want to freeze again. So it might be a good thing just to kind of cut our losses here.
Right.
Thank you, everybody who stayed with us through all the freezes and all the potential possible anal bleeds. Thank you.
Yeah.
On that note, GoreCast out. Bye.
Out.